Humans are curious beings. We don't like to settle for what we already know. We're adventurous and always digging in to unlock the mysteries of the universe, and fortunately for us, the world is full of them. From artifacts that are found underground to outlandish objects in space and hidden treasures lying in the deep ocean, join us as we have a look at 20 of the strangest objects recently discovered. Number 20. The ancient computer. At number 20, we have the ancient computer known as the Antikythera mechanism. This big piece of bronze could be described as the world's oldest computer, and who could think that a computer existed long before Microsoft or Apple? Obviously no one. Here's a wonder discovered by some divers sometime between 1900 and 1901 on the 2,000-year-old Antikythera shipwreck off the Greek islands of Antikythera. Named the Antikythera mechanism, this highly complex mechanism is made up of 40 bronze cogs and gears, having the capabilities that left researchers stunned. It's an analog computer designed by the ancient Greeks to serve several purposes, especially as they relate to tracking the solar system's cycles. This mechanism can predict the astronomical positions and eclipses on the calendar. The most exciting part of the discovery is that it took another 1,500 years for a clock with such sophisticated astrological features to be made in Europe. This ancient computer is now on display at the National Archaeological Museum of Athens. It's a great beauty to behold, and reports have it that the mechanism might just have helped researchers to unlock information on the cycles of other planets, information that had long been missing until now. Number 19. The Blue Angel Sea Slug. This is the discovery of a creature off the coast of Australia, South Africa, and Mozambique. It's an unusual creature and is certainly a rare otherworldly thing. The creature, nicknamed the Blue Angel Sea Slug, is carnivorous and feeds on other venomous sea creatures, such as the huge Portuguese man-o'-war. It extracts the venom from its prey in specialized sacs, concentrates it, and then uses it on future prey. Despite being harmful to other sea creatures, the marine invertebrate is a beauty to watch. But why do the most beautiful creatures have to be so deadly? This animal's exterior is electric blue and silver, and it uses this stunning color in order to trick its prey. Now I wonder what other creatures would use their outward looks to lure in their prey. Feel free to tell me all your thoughts in the comments down below. This sea slug simply floats upside down on the water's surface, projecting its silver side downwards in order to blend in with the sea, and meanwhile its blue side, capable of deflecting UV rays, faces upwards in order to blend in with the water's surface. And if you're a beachgoer on the coasts of any of those mentioned nations where the creature can be found, you should watch out for them because their sting can be quite painful and potentially dangerous to humans. Number 18. Daki stone spheres. This is the discovery of enormous stone spheres inspired by real artifacts scattered across the Daki Delta of southern Costa Rica. Historically, there are around 300 such balls, though they do have various sizes. The largest of them weighs 16 tons and measures in at 8 feet in diameter. The thick layers of sediment have kept the spheres buried, protecting them from looting at most archaeological sites around Costa Rica. The earliest reports of these stones dates back to the late 19th century. UNESCO has regarded them as special objects of wonder, and looking at the spheres that are still sitting where they are after 1,000 years, they're undeniably striking that researchers and even tourists became curious about their origins, who made them, and why they were made in the first place. Scientists believe that the spheres were made out of granite, and that the people who made them belonged to a distinct culture in Latin America. According to them, they could be the people of the Chibchan tribe, who also made gold and jade ornaments, exotic shell jewelry, ceramics, and monumental architecture. The tribe was decimated following the Spanish conquest, making the reasons the spheres were made unknown even until this day. Number 17. Hidden Cave of Crystals in Mexico. This cave was discovered in Chihuahua, Mexico by two mariners who were excavating a new tunnel for the Industrias Pinoles Company in the year 2000. The cave is regarded as the largest collection of natural crystals ever discovered. The Cave of Crystals is a natural marvel that's buried 1,000 feet deep, that's 300 meters below, a mountain in the Chihuahuan Desert. The crystal's translucent gypsum beams measure up to 36 feet long and weigh about 55 tons. It's believed that the crystals have been growing in order to attain their current size for more than 500,000 years. To learn about the growth of these crystals, Garcia Ruiz of the University of Granada in Spain studied tiny pockets of fluid trapped inside of them. He further said that the crystals thrived because they were sunken in mineral-rich water with a very narrow but stable temperature range of around 136 degrees Fahrenheit, or 58 degrees Celsius. This would cause the mineral andesite to dissolve into gypsum, a soft mineral that's capable of forming the kind of crystals found within the cave. Number 16. The Yonaguni Ruins. The Yonaguni Ruins are submerged stone structures lying below the waters off of Yonaguni-jima, a Japanese city sunk by an earthquake about 2,000 years ago. The ruins cover an area that spans 984 feet by 492 feet, and it includes a castle, a triumphal arch, 5 temples, and at least one large stadium. A marine geologist from the University of the Ryukyus in Japan had claimed that the largest structure from the site where the ruins were discovered appeared like a complicated monolithic, stepped pyramid that rises from a depth of 82 feet. His claims would attract a lot of controversy about the formation of the site. For instance, Robert Scooch, a professor of science and mathematics at Boston University, believed that the major structures tended to be all natural more than they were man-made. He said that the writing that was claimed to have been seen is more or less just natural scratches on the rock. Although direct evidence of human involvement with the site has shed some light on the mystery, many researchers still need to collect more evidence to know for sure. Number 15. The Skeleton of Ata. This is an unusual skeleton that was found in Chile. This mummified skeleton will leave most people perplexed. It is the skeleton of Ata and is only 6 inches tall. Initially thought to be the skeleton of an alien or even an unknown primate, Ata was eventually discovered to be human, however with multiple bone disease-associated mutations. When the skeleton was first discovered in the year 2003, it was only about 40 years old, which made it possible for its DNA to be intact and subsequently studied. An initial DNA analysis did not match with human DNA. However, an improved analysis would match up to about 98%. The skeleton has some abnormalities, which includes a long and angular skull, slanted eye sockets, and 10 pairs of ribs rather than the normal 12. In diagnosing the abnormalities, scientists would discover several mutations within 7 genes. This is the aspect that surprised them the most. Although the mutations are known to cause bone disease, some of them were never connected to growth or developmental disorders. According to Dr. Atul Butte, a scientist involved in the study, the mutations were so rare that they had not ever actually seen some of them before, and it was hard to imagine that there are carriers out there. While the discovery is undoubtedly strange, it's going to help scientists to get faster diagnoses of genetic mutation-based cases for living patients. Number 14. The Baltic Sea Anomaly. This is a 70-meter-long, strangely shaped rock structure dubbed the Baltic Sea Anomaly. The object is a feature that's visible on a blurry sonar image taken by some treasure hunters on the floor of the northern Baltic Sea at the center of the Gulf of Bothnia. The sonar was lying 100 meters beneath the waves. The team would suggest that the object had unusual features of an artificial origin, prompting speculations that the object was actually a sunken UFO. However, a group of divers collecting samples from the mysterious entity would claim that it was simply a glacial deposit. According to history, much of the Baltic Sea was carved out by moving glaciers during the Ice Age, and therefore the anomaly could be leftovers from that process. On the contrary, though, the OceanX team maintained that the structure is man-made. They claim their electrical equipment stopped working when they approached within 200 meters of where the anomaly would be discovered. Irrespective of any theories, the object has a weird presence and appearance, just like rock formations created by good old Mother Nature. Number 13. Underwater Stonehenge Structure. The stone structure was found under Lake Michigan at 12 meters. It's a series of stones that are arranged in a Stonehenge-like manner. The discovery would be made by Mark Hawley, a professor of underwater archaeology at the Northwestern University of Michigan, along with his colleague Brian Abbott in 2007. They believe that the structure is about 9,000 years old. On one of the stones, there are carvings in the form of a mastodon, an elephant-like animal in the Midwest that went into extinction more than 10,000 years ago. The question now is, how did these stones end up in the depths of one of the largest lakes of the world? Were they purposely placed there, or were they just a random occurrence? What do you think? Let me know about it in the comments below. A similar Stonehenge-like structure could be found on Beaver Island in northern Lake Michigan. The only plausible explanation is that the locals had created the structure during the last ice age when the lake bed was dry, but even so, there's insufficient information about the discovery online. This may be due to the ill disposition of locals of Indian tribes to the influx of tourists upon their lands. Number 12. Salt Cathedral of Zipaquirá. At number 12 is the Salt Cathedral of Zipaquirá. It's an underground Roman Catholic church in Colombia. The cathedral is completely made of salt and is located 180 meters below the surface of the small town of Zipaquirá, making it an architectural wonder. There is a giant salt cross in the cathedral, and it has capacity for 10,000, though it's never been fully occupied. It's said that this cathedral came about because miners would previously pray in a small sanctuary that was built inside the caverns in order to protect against toxic gases, explosions, and other common accidents. After extracting salt from the ground, it left a vast network of passageways and pits, which were converted into a church in 1953, but closed down in 1990 due to structural problems. About 127 miners were brought in to build another version, now regarded to as the Salt Cathedral, and it took about 5 years in order to build the Stations of the Cross into the walls. Transferring the massive rock salt altar weighing 16 tons to the new site was another difficult task. Workers had to cut it into 3 pieces in order to make movement easy. Number 11. The Voynich Manuscript. This is the discovery of a 240-page medieval book that was written in an unknown language. What mysterious book would be written in an untranslatable language? Well, the answer is the Voynich Manuscript. This manuscript, believed to have originated between 1404 and 1438, has baffled scholars and codebreakers for many years. The manuscript does have some puzzling drawings and undeciphered text, which many people described as being magical. The diagrams depict unusual plants or different medicinal herbs and root species, women with swollen bellies immersed or wading in green pools, and cosmological medallions, amongst other contents. Although it was claimed that Roger Bacon authored the Voynich Code to fool Rudolph II, other possible authors could include Rudolph II's doctor and Wilfrid Voynich, whom the manuscript was later named after. In January of 2018, a group of Canadian computer scientists announced the possibility of having limited success decoding some parts of the manuscript with artificial intelligence. They admitted that they would need input from scholars and refinement to the process, but could it be a book of witchcraft or perhaps a woman's health guide? There's no substantiated claims regarding the manuscript's meaning to date. Number 10. The Cave of Crystals. This is a cave in Mexico that's full of towering white crystals. The cave, known as the Cave of Crystals, is an enchanting cavern that crisscrosses with gleaming gypsum crystals. The cave was discovered in the year 2000 when some miners drained the water from a zinc mine within a mountain that's located in the Mexican state of Chihuahua. Scientists were unable to date the structures using conventional techniques, and this is because they're so pure and sparkling. However, researchers discovered what they believed to be a 50,000-year-old bacterial sample inside one of the crystals. The crystal pillars are so massive that they can be easily walked upon, and they just kept on growing despite being buried beneath the earth. Juan Manuel Garcias Ruiz traveled down to see the crystals for himself. He had grown them in a laboratory flask since he was 15 years old. Scientists do seek ways to preserve the crystals for future generations if permitted by the mining company. However, in 2017, the mining company in possession of the property where the cave was found allowed the cave to reflood. Number 9. Volgograd discs. These are a dozen large and mysterious carved discs that were found near Volgograd, Russia, by a team of investigators in 2015. The investigators belonged to a group known as Kosmopoisk, and the site of the region that they were investigating is known for the occurrence of mystical phenomena. According to the team, the Volgograd discs contain tungsten, a high-density metal that's used in special military technology. The discs measure 1 meter in diameter. Some scientists have claimed that the discs were debris from an ancient spaceship, but UFOologists have also claimed that the discs could be about 1 million years old. Scott Waring of UFO Sightings Daily claimed that the discs were similar to the ones that he had seen in Mars NASA photos, but those discs probably got damaged during the attack on Mars. Some UFO skeptics have ruled that the discs were not man-made, though their shape resulted from erosion. The massive discs are being studied in order to determine their age and the material, and the largest of them has been put on display in a museum of local lore. Number 8. Hoag's Object. This is a tiny, faint 16th magnitude ring surrounding a ball-like center. The object would be discovered by Arthur Hoag and was initially thought to be a planetary nebula, a puff of gas that's expelled from a single old-age star. However, he would be incorrect. Spectroscopic studies carried out later would indicate that it was some sort of peculiar galaxy. It's common knowledge that galaxies are the most prominent things in the universe and come in a few varieties. While nearly all of them are difficult to understand, others are spirals of various kinds, but this particular galaxy does not conform to either pattern. The Hoag's object doesn't follow the familiar spiral pattern of most galaxies. Instead, the nucleus sits all by itself in space at a whopping 600 million light-years away from all of us. While its inner yellow core is 24,000 light-years across, its outer ring has a width of 120,000 light-years. Hoag's object could be likened to a galaxy whose middle sections have been vacuumed up by some malevolent alien starship, leaving the center and the outermost region spared. Number 7. Neutron Star. This is a relatively small and dense object that could be regarded as an unusual neutron star. It was found at the lowest mass ever measured for an object of its kind, at just 77% of the mass of the Sun. The recent discovery is smaller than the lightest neutron star ever measured, and that means that one of these things, either we are looking at a different object entirely, or there's some gap in our understanding of ultra-dense objects. Neutron stars are what's left after a massive star reaches the end of its life. A star reaches the end when it runs out of material to fuse in its core. This will thus go into supernova, ejecting its outer layers of material into space and then collapsing into a dense object known as a neutron. This particular neutron star contains a larger proportion of quarks, fundamental subatomic particles, that combine to form composite particles. Many astronomers think that the strange neutron star might only be a hypothetical object that is yet to be identified in the wild. Nevertheless, the discovery will help scientists to understand the mysterious afterlife of massive stars. Number 6. An unusual transient. This transient releases a giant burst of energy thrice an hour. It's unlike anything astronomers have ever seen, because usually objects that turn on and off in the universe are generally referred to as transients. However, they may appear and disappear either within a few months or a few moments. But having a similar object turn on for a minute seems weird to many astronomers. The unusual transient was bright and emitted highly polarized radio waves, indicating that the object had a powerful magnetic field. According to Dr. Hurley Walker, an astrophysicist from the Curtin University node of the International Center for Radio Astronomy Research, observations made during the discovery would suggest that the object could actually be an ultra-long period magnetar. An ultra-long period magnetar is a spinning neutron star, but nobody expected it to be bright, just like the transient. According to Dr. Hurley Walker, astronomers are planning to search for more of the objects to ascertain whether the recent object was a rare one-off event or a vast new population that they had never noticed before. Number 5. Sorceress Kit. At number 5 is the discovery of a sorceress kit. Some archaeologists digging in the garden house in the ashes that showered Pompeii in 79 AD after the eruption of Mount Vesuvius uncovered this mysterious kit. The kit is believed to contain objects that may be used for fortune-telling and also to bring good luck. Inside of the kit is at least 100 little objects, which includes miniature penises, crystals, carved scarab beetles, buttons that are made of bone, and small dolls. Archaeologists would explain that the objects are things of everyday life in the female world, as they tell micro-stories and biographies of inhabitants who were trying to escape the eruption of the city. Ruling out the possibility of the objects being used for rituals, there were no necklaces which are usually worn during rituals in the kit. Subsequently, archaeologists found a room that contained the remains of 10 people. The owner of the box might have been one of the victims. The kit is not only significant as being discovered in the garden house. In the previous year, an inscription that would suggest the eruption occurred in 79 AD was also found. Other findings include a horse that died while saddled up and a well-preserved erotic fresco that depicts the myth of Leda and the swan. Number 4. 2,137-year-old iPhone. At number 4, we have the discovery of a device that appears to be an iPhone that is reportedly over 2,000 years old in a grave of a young woman nicknamed Natasha at a burial site dubbed as the Russian Atlantis. The burial site dates back to a Chinese empire that lasted between the 3rd century BC and the late 1st century AD. She was found with this fashionable and modern-looking accessory that looks very similar to the case of an iPhone. The iPhone was established in 2007, so where could she have gotten the case? In the real sense, the accessory is a belt buckle that's made of black gemstone jet rock and studded with precious stones. Measuring about 7 inches long and about 4 inches wide, the accessory was found on the pelvis of Natasha's skeleton. According to archaeologist Dr. Pavel Luce, the intricate inlays of the accessory are made of turquoise, carnelian, and mother-of-pearl, as well as a form of ancient Chinese coin. And though discovered in 2016, it would not be until he shared the images of the artifact on his Instagram account that it became public knowledge. The Chinese coins that decorated the accessory made it easy for scientists and researchers to date it accurately. Number 3. 3,300-year-old claw. This is a well-preserved 3,300-year-old claw of a bird. This breathtaking find looks like the claw of a dinosaur, and it was found by some archaeologists who were traversing the cave systems of Mount Owen in New Zealand. However, it was discovered that the claw was that of a bird which belonged to the now extinct flightless bird species known as the moa. Moas are native to New Zealand, and their lineage began around 80 million years ago on Gondwana, an ancient supercontinent. Moas are of 3 families, 6 general and 9 species, with each species varying in size. Some were around the size of a turkey, while others were larger than an ostrich. The bird went into extinction approximately 800 years ago, shortly after the arrival of humans on the island. The remains of the bird species reveal that they were mainly grazers who fed on herbs and greens, and their primary foods included fruits, grass, leaves, and seeds. They're the only flightless bird with complete wings, and their closest relative was the flighted South American tinamous. And like many of the now extinct species, Trevor Worthy, an evolutionary biologist, believes that the birds might have been terminated by humans who encountered them. Number 2. Sacsayhuaman Fortress. At number 2 is the discovery of this fortress, which is located in Peru. The archaeological site has stone walls that are well maintained and a natural rock formation that looks like a slide where children would play. The foundations of the fortress are all made of limestone, and the fortress was rediscovered in 1934 during some excavations. Here's what makes the fortress so super strange though. Its main walls are built in a zigzag design with colossal stones that weigh anywhere between 90 to 125 tons. It measures 2.5 meters wide and 5 meters high, and the fortress also has 3 main walls that extend for more than 540 meters, attaining a height of about 18 meters. Each wall has about 40 segments that provide an ideal place for defense. It was believed that the Incas that built the fortress probably used a technique of hard work movement. This is because they needed to become more familiar with the wheel, and they simply situated the giant carved stones over oiled logs to enable the stones to slide over them. The construction process lasted approximately a century, and though the process was slow, the result was enduring. Number 1. Göbekli Tepe. The BBC describes this discovery as an immense mystery that's older than Stonehenge. Known as Göbekli Tepe, it combines structures constructed by prehistoric people 6,000 years before Stonehenge came into existence. A German archaeologist by the name of Klaus Schmidt had uncovered over 20 circular stone enclosures with 2 elaborately carved pillars, which are stylized human figures with folded hands and fox pelt belts. The 2 pillars weighed about 10 tons each. The 11,000-year-old structures are the oldest known monumental structures not built for shelter. At the site, there were stone tools and other evidence which would indicate that hunter-gatherers might have built the circular enclosures. Other objects uncovered there include tens of thousands of animal bones. Though archaeologists believe that the pillars were carved from the natural limestone layers of the hill's bedrock rather than building them from scratch, it still casts no doubt that the monumental structures with their elaborate carvings are an immense mystery. The discovery could help to explain humans' transition to farming and why they began living in permanent settlements. Which of these discoveries do you find the most intriguing? Be sure to let me know all about it in the comments section down below.